Now, here is one of my super gorgeous looking female phantoms that I produced. I believe this one might be the whitest one I've produced. I think this one is a super hypo phantom. So that would be super hypo, paradigm, black-eyed anery. What's up, snake fans? Dave Palumbo here for Muscle Serpents Daily. And I'm standing right here. You can see my my olive pythons in the back. My outdoor enclosures doing very well. We did have one loss. I had a diamond python die. I don't know if I mentioned a couple months ago, but for no apparent reason, everything else is doing tremendously well outside here. All right, today we're going to be talking about the Phantom and the Blizzard Boa project. I know I've talked about them a lot before, but one of the Phantoms that I sold a couple months ago, or maybe actually last year at this point, or at least in the beginning of the year, someone had posted online and someone else had said, oh, I love the way that looks, and they wanted to know what genes were in there. So I figured, you know what, let's do a little video. We'll talk about the genes that make up the Blizzard and Phantom, because they're basically related. A Blizzard or Super Blizzard is the hypo gene in boas, which is an incomplete dominant gene, with the sharp albino gene, usually, at least in my project. You can just do it with Col too, but I do it with sharp, and the black-eyed anery gene, or the Ralph Davis reptile black-eyed anery gene. So it's kind of like a moon glow using the black-eyed anery gene, which is better because it removes yellows a lot of times too. So you can make the whitest blizzards, or the whitest boas known to the boa breeding community at this point, if you make a super hypo blizzard. Likewise, if you do a hypo or super hypo phantom, which is the paradigm version, meaning that you get one copy of hypo or two copies, one copy of sharp albino, one copy of boa woman caramel. When you combine those two, you get what's called a paradigm, and then you have the black-eyed anery gene. So phantoms are just basically paradigm, moon glows, if you want to put it that way, using the black-eyed anery gene. So they're kind of very related to each other. It's just one gene substitution in there. And they look completely different, because if you don't have pure T-negative albino, pure sharp albino, you do get some pigment. You still get some melanin in there. And it's not a lot, but it's enough to absolutely change the look of the snake. So let's go into my snake room. I'm going to show you some phantoms, I'm going to show you some blizzards, and I'm going to show you how to make them. All right, checking out my super fire diamonds here. Their naturalistic enclosure. I just realized, I was just looking at my tags, one of these, I think the girl is actually a 2020, and the boy is a 2021, which makes them, almost, it's about 3.5 years old and 2.5 years old. So they're not young boas. They're slow grown, but they're not young. And I'm slow growing them purposely, because in nature, I know this is how that would happen. I'm not in any rush. I don't even care if they breed or not. We're just kind of keeping them in here, just observing them, how they interact. This one loves to sit on the branches. And I have another one. Let's see where the other one's right here. Yeah, it's coming up. They think they're gonna get fed again. They just ate. They just ate today. And look, this one's already coming up. There it is. Look. Thank God I took my hand out of there. They would have gotten me. I didn't even see. From the floor, look how strong these snakes are. From the floor, completely stretched up, not even holding on to anything, in a completely upright posture. That's a lot of strength right there. Be able to lift your body up. Look at that. You see those fire diamonds? They do have yellows in their head. They're leucistics, but they definitely have some yellows in them. And they still have some black pigmentation spots, which is kind of interesting, because you would think leucistic means no pigment at all, but they still do have some pigment. They just have almost none. Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Love these guys. All right, I didn't think these guys would start breeding so early, but look at that. Got a lock. That's pretty cool. I haven't even put all my bows together. I just threw these guys together. I don't know why. I had a feeling. This is our Paraglow. So that means that's a hypo paradigm, and paradigm is a one copy of Sharp Albino, one copy of Boa Woman Caramel. We get this Paradigm creamy intermediary albino. So we call it a Paraglow because it's, instead of Sun Glow, it's called Paraglow. It's a Paradigm. And then this is 100% het RDR black-eyed anery. This female, she produced my first Phantoms and the first Super Blizzards I ever produced. Now, the last time I bred her to a Super Hypo Blizzard, which is a Super Hypo Sharp Albino black-eyed anery. This time around, we're doing something a little different. We're breeding it to an Arabesque, which is kind of a cool dispersed pattern, great, a little bit of a granity looking morph. It's an incomplete dominant. So it's an Arabesque Sharp Sun Glow that's het for black-eyed anery. So we're breeding the black-eyed anery, het black-eyed anery, the het black-eyed anery, which is going to make it a little harder to hit the visuals that we're looking for. But an Arabesque Phantom would be really cool. You know what I mean? And that would be very, very interesting and different, I think. So we're going to take a couple hits because a lot of, you know, if we don't, anything that's not visual will be 66% het black-eyed anery, but the ones that we do hit should be really cool. So I don't want to bother them, or I would lift up the hide box, but so I'm just going to leave them alone. Now, you've seen the Blizzards before. I show you these all the time because I love them so much. These are our Super Hypo Sharp Albino black-eyed anery. So that pairing I just showed you could produce this, and it did. Well, not that exact pairing, but a slightly different pairing than the one I originally talked about. But I have produced these from a pairing similar to that as well. These are from 2022. I actually produced a bunch in 2023 as well. The reason you don't see them on Morph Market is because I haven't listed any of them. I probably will list some of the 2023s at some point this year. If you really are interested in getting one of these, I would just advise reaching out to me directly. This is the whitest boa that you can possibly produce. There's nothing nicer, there's nothing whiter that you can produce. But after producing a few of these, you know, you want to start producing something a little different. So while this is great, we produced also the Paradigm version of this, which is known as the Phantom. Let's see if we can find this girl. So here's one of our Phantoms. And it's funny, someone reached out to me today and was like asking me about my Phantoms, because I guess I had sold one from this litter, and he's beautiful. And he's, someone had posted a picture of him and they were just going crazy over it. But I made some really nice Phantoms. I mean, some really light ones. This one's kind of interesting looking. This is our male holdback. And as you can see, he's got some pattern in him. He's not completely white because he's a Paradigm. So he's a hypo, possibly Super Hypo Paradigm. I think he's Super Hypo Paradigm. Black-eyed anery. So we've removed all the yellows and the reds mostly with the black-eyed anery gene. We have this Paradigm, which is this intermediate, which is why it has black eyes and not red eyes. And then we have at least one copy of the Hypo gene. More than likely we have two because it's got very, very little pattern. And this little boy just ate, so I'm going to leave him alone. But you can see, very interesting look. Now, here is one of my super gorgeous looking female Phantoms that I produced. I believe this one might be the whitest one I've produced. I think this one is a Super Hypo Phantom. So that would be Super Hypo Paradigm black-eyed anery, or as Mike Weitzman, my mentor, likes to say, Ralph Davis Reptile black-eyed anery, because he kind of named it after him because the original black-eyed anery, that gene line came from Ralph. So it's we call it RDR black-eyed anery, or RDR BEA. And you can see everything ate today because remember Pablo was away for 3 weeks, so we fed everything really nice. This ate a nice big, huge jumbo mouse. This girl, she's almost at that point where she's going to be eating small rats, and once she does, she'll start really growing. And this girl is also 22, so they're at that stage now where they've about a year and a half old. That's usually when boas can start to take bigger prey items, and that's when they start really adding most of their size. So as you can see, beautiful girl. Now I'm gonna show you another one. All right, now here's another one. This is another female I produced, and I think she's in shed, but she's not quite as white as the other ones, but she's got like a more ghosty looking pattern to me, and she's actually just as interesting looking, and she's all rolled up because if you know anything about boas, they never sit on the hot spot except when they eat. And so she ate a nice big meal today, so she's not going to be participating too much, but she is really interesting, like I said, looking. She has much more contrast in her and more pattern, so she might be just a single copy hypo paradigm black-eyed anery, or single copy phantom, as we would call it. She's probably put on the most size of all the babies in from that litter. So you can just see they all look a little different. Now this litter, I'm going to show you some, and I've shown you these before. This litter is from 2021. So now we're getting babies that are, you know, really well started. 2.5 years old, 2 years old. These are 2 years old. Actually, these are about 2.5 years old. And these are not visuals I'm showing you, but these are what you're seeing here are hets. So these are 100% het for RDR black-eyed anery. This is a more than likely a super hypo or super sun glow, super sharp sun glow. So this is sharp albino, 2 copies of the hypo gene, more than likely. You can see a really reduced saddle pattern here. And these are 100% het RDRs. So this is a nice male. He'd probably breed this year for you. And once again, if you're looking to get into that Phantom and Blizzard project, this is a nice, quicker way to get into it because I've done all the work and grown these guys up. Now here's another male from the same project that looks completely different. And this is a single copy hypo. This has got the Motley gene in it. And this has got Aztec in it as well. So this is a Motley Aztec sun glow that's het RDR. So once again, if you remember, if you watched yesterday's video, you saw my blue line, the male that I bred to an Aztec Motley sun glow. Well, this girl, I mean, this male here was one of the babies from the same female, only 2 years earlier. So, you know, we usually breed the boas every 2 years, and this male has put a ton of size. This male is definitely breeder ready. He's absolutely gorgeous. Looking at him now, I'm like, I should just keep this guy. He's so nice. And to be honest with you, let's see, he ate a nice medium rat today. But let's see if I can pick him up. I want to show you that beautiful tail he's got. He's got a really nice tail. He's actually going to be moving into a bigger container too because he's too big for this. But just gorgeous. I had sold him, and then the person was making payments on me, and he actually couldn't afford it. Something happened financially with him, and so this male is now available. And here's a beautiful female version of what I just showed you. Same thing. This is Aztec Motley Sun Glow. And if you remember from yesterday's video, if you have the Motley gene, you can only have 1 copy of hypo because they're allelic to each other. So this is hypo, Motley, Aztec, sharp albino, het, 100% het for RDR black-eyed anery. And this female is really nice. So this pair, actually this female was with a different male, not the male I just showed you, the one before that. And I had sold it. It's now available, and I had been really feeding them pretty well. You can see that they get some pretty nice girthiness in them for a 2-year-old snake. And these guys will probably be eating medium rats. Anyone who would buy a pair of these from me, you'd be producing your own blizzards probably by, possibly next year. At least 2 years from now, for sure. But I think by next year it could be possible because I think these guys will start eating. This girl will definitely be eating mediums now. She's eating smalls all day long, but she'll eat mediums easily and put on some nice size. So good good possibility if you're looking to get into the project. All right, now here's a blizzard that I produced in March of this year. This is from a different pairing. And you can see this one is not totally white. And you say, well, why isn't it totally white? Well, because if you only have one copy of the hypo gene, so let's say you produce a hypo, sharp albino, black-eyed anery, you get a little bit of pattern, I've noticed. And it doesn't all disappear, which is kind of very similar to what happens with carpet pythons in producing moonglows. Moonglow carpet python has a little bit of yellow in it. But when you get a super moon, or full moon as we call it, which is 2 copies of the caramel gene, which is very similar to what the hypo gene does in boas, you get a white snake. So this one has 1 copy, whereas the ones in the other room, that other one I just showed you, is completely white. Now, I'm gonna show you another one from this particular litter too. All right, and you'll see this one is completely white. Not an ounce of pattern or color anywhere on her, because this one is a super hypo, sharp albino black-eyed anery, also known as a super hypo blizzard. And it really depends on what you like. Obviously, this snake will be more expensive because it has an extra copy of the gene in it, but you can produce this using a regular blizzard too if you breed it to something that's hypo. So there's so many combinations. If I was, just looking to get into this project right now, I probably would go with the 2-year-olds that I have, even though they're hets, because it's just less growing time. You can get this visual right here, a visual male like this, and then get a female that's one of the 2-year-olds. That would give you the best odds, because you'd be breeding a visual to a het, and so 50% of the babies would be black-eyed anery in that case, and you'd get a lot more variety. So it really depends on what your budget is, what you're looking to do. If you're really looking to produce a super white boa that has no pattern and that's really cool like this, or even a phantom, the paradigm version of this, you got to get, the male probably you should get would be, the visual, and then maybe get a female like I was selling, or vice versa, and get into the project. Don't wait. You know what? I waited a couple years longer than I should have. Mike Weitzman had told me, you got to get into this black-eyed anery gene, and I waited over 2 years over past where I should have. I could have had even more stuff I would have been breeding already, very, conscientiously, and I guess the word I'm looking for is consistently, had I started earlier, but it's never too late, as I say. I could have gotten into the with ball python breed Desert Ghost a long time ago, and I didn't either. So sometimes you just you don't make the right decisions, but it's like I said, it's never too late. Do what you love. Now look at this. The breeding season has definitely started for the ball pythons for sure, because I'm seeing a lot of locks. And, I wonder if, I gave these snakes off like 3 weeks from eating, and now we just fed them. We gave them nice big meals. Some of them ate twice on Tuesday, I should say. So now we're at Friday, and we repaired up the snakes, and everyone's seems to be commingling with each other. These are not locked yet, but they're definitely, interested in each other. And this is our super Enchi clown that's being bred by a super pastel Desert Ghost Enchi het clown. So pretty nice little pairing. This female is very happy because everyone's got a full belly. So maybe that little stopping of feeding and then refeeding might have kicked their breeding chops back into place, because I'll tell you one thing, this past season was very slow for me. We had about maybe 3/4 of the clutches we had the year before. Now, luckily we had good stuff. We produced really good stuff and some world's first and some really great stuff, but it wasn't a great breeding season. So, and a lot of people told me they didn't have great ball python breeding seasons. Everything else was good. My boa season was good, but so I still suspect we're going to get some stuff at the end of the year. Stuff I normally don't get, but we'll see. How cute is this little scaleless banana clown? Technically a super microscale. banana clown. And I love this snake. I really do hope it never dies. It was so small when it came out of the egg. I've shown it to you so much. I think she's the world's only banana clown that has no scales. I believe she is. She's so cute and tiny, but she eats. She eats and she sheds. She sits in the water bowl. She's tiny. She's like, you know what? I don't need moisture in the enclosure. I'll just sit in the water bowl. How cute is that? One of my favorites, my Orange Dream Ultra Glow Pied. So Orange Dream, Ultra Mel, Hypo Pied, triple recessive with the incomplete dominant Orange Dream. This female we've been growing up since 21, and she just slammed a nice medium rat finally. Once again, sometimes starving them for a few weeks definitely builds up their appetite. Eventually we'll get her in the breeding program. I don't know if she's going to go this year. I'm not really in a rush. She's one of my favorite snakes, probably one of the nicest snakes I've ever produced. So I'm in no rush, and the reason we have her still in the extra large Freedom Breeder hatchling racks is because I'm afraid to move her. Because if I move her, I know she's going to stop eating. I just know it. I know her whole personality. So sometimes you got to keep them in this. And these, I really love these big Freedom Breeders because they're hatchlings, but they're taller. They're much taller than the average hatchling rack, so you can really keep snakes in there much longer than you would normally keep a snake in a hatchling rack. And for ball pythons, this is great because they don't like a lot of room. They really like to be in small, confined places. They eat better. They just do better. And I try to keep them in here as long as possible, and then I'll move them to a V70, you know, when I know they're rock solid eating and they're ready to breed, because then they don't care where they are. They'll eat anything, you know, anywhere. But yeah, she's looking pretty spectacular. And we'll wrap up today with a little water monitor action here. What's up, big boy? We haven't really taken you out too much since Papa's been away. I was busy with the Mr. Olympia competition. We got to start doing some more training with you. You're so beautiful and everyone wants to see you out. You definitely put some size on though. You've been eating your quail, and I think Papa fed you some rodents this week, right? We got to get you up to size so we can use you for some breeding later this season, maybe to our Black Dragon water monitor, assuming that you are a male. We'll have to find out about that, but yeah. I have Chase, my good friend, working on some water monitor enclosures for me as well, so first one will be for the female, of course. He's still good in this enclosure because, you know what, he's still being tamed. When you train these guys, you got to keep them in a small enclosure because if they have too much room and they've got too much running around, they get too preoccupied with hiding and acting too wild. So according to Kevin McCurley, and I agree with him, you're better off keeping them in a smaller cage until they're trained. And then once, you know, if they get to the point where you're breeding them, it doesn't matter anymore. But, you know, I'm trying to get these guys tamed so we can, you know, take them out and, you know, interact with them. Say goodbye. Say have a nice weekend, everyone. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today here at Palumbo's Pythons and Boas. I want to thank the people who reached out to me and wished me quick healing. I had a little cataract surgery done last week, which is, as far as surgeries go, kind of a mild type of thing. It's probably getting a tooth filled at the dentist is worse than that. So I have to say it wasn't bad. It went well. My eyes are doing well. Thank you for the well wishes. And if you guys have more questions on different gene combinations you want me to talk about, or if you would like me to do anything like breeding videos or anything specifically in the next coming weeks, put them in the comments below. I definitely love good ideas. And as you can see, my olive pythons are very active today. It's about 70 degrees, so it's not as hot as it usually is here in Florida. Maybe we'll start getting some breeding action. That is the goal for the coming season. Olive python babies. All right, guys, if you like what you're seeing, show us the love. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. Hit that like button. I'll see you back tomorrow morning.